We cannot build a future for this country until we have dealt with its past. And that is something that we have manifestly failed to do. And it is something that I believe we have to do before we can move on in the way that Joel Pollack says the world has moved on. And how does South Africa build a better future? Redress is critical. It's essential. It is a sine qua non. Without redress, there can be no better future for South Africa. Then the debate, for me anyway, I don't expect you to agree with me, and I know many of you won't, but for me the debate is, how do we implement redress? Clearly, what has been done since 1994 has not worked, or hasn't worked nearly well enough. Too much of the economy is still in white hands. Too many senior posts are still in white hands. The Stats SA's recent income report of, 2 weeks ago, showed again, unequivocally, how apartheid has benefited, the ending of apartheid has benefited white people more than any other population group. Of course there are poor white people. Of course there are elderly white people listening to me now who really struggle to get through the month. Of course they are, but in general, white people have benefited from the ending of apartheid. The inherited privilege has just been added to. And of course there are black millionaires, and of course there are lots of middle-class black people in the professions, as there should be. But redress has not been achieved. And again, in my opinion, and I suspect many black listeners will disagree with me here, that the government refuses to acknowledge that what it has done is wrong. It doubles down. It says we haven't imposed enough conditions on business. We haven't imposed enough conditions on industries. We need this 3% transformation fund. That will achieve transformation. It won't. It's a doubling down on 3 decades of policy that hasn't worked. We have to find a different way. What that way is a more difficult question to answer, but we cannot continue to have the inequalities, the racially based inequalities that still unarguably exist in this country. If we don't begin to close those gaps, if we don't find a way for meaningful, successful redress, then we hand the country over to the likes of the EFF and the MKP. And from that, nobody benefits other than the mandarins in those two parties and their politically connected friends.